It is time for another 1-minute market update where we talk about the absolutely depressing state of the real estate market. Well, in actuality, we talk about the two things that you should care about most if you're a homeowner or you want to be a homeowner, but unfortunately, it's been pretty depressing for the last couple of months. Well, years, actually, I guess. If you're new, the two things that we talk about are how much is my home worth today compared to what it was yesterday, and how long would it take to sell in today's market. And I'm gonna start doing something new in throwing some other fun stats into the mix as well. And today's fun stat is how much money you have lost from the peak of the market last year to today. Because at this point, prices have gone down so much that we can't really do anything else but laugh. In the Greater Vancouver area, if you own a detached home, and of course this is on average, so don't get at me that your home hasn't lost this much or whatever. This is an average. A detached home in the Greater Vancouver area has lost $150,000 in value from the peak of last year to today. And the peak of last year for detached was about March. And if you have a townhome, the average drop in townhome value has been $57,000. And for condos, surprisingly, actually a little bit more at $62,000 in lost value. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's jump into the actual stats that we're here to talk about today, starting off with how much your home is worth today compared to what it was yesterday. And we will begin in Burnaby with detached homes. So, Burnaby, you have gained 0.4% from last month, but you are down 8.5% from this time last year. New West, you're down 0.9% from last month, and you are down 8.3% from last year. Coquitlam, you are down 1.4% from last month, and down 6.3% from last year. Port Moody, you are down 0.2% from last month and only down 2.6% from last year. Port Coquitlam, you are down 0.2% from last month and down 4.2% from last year. Maple Ridge, you're up 0.1% from last month and down 3.6% from last year. And finally, Pitt Meadows, you are down 1.5% from last month and down 3.7% from last year. We're having lots of discussions with homeowners talking about what they should do this year. And a lot of the common theme that comes up is a lot of people want to wait until spring. And, you know, historically, that's maybe not been the worst idea. But in a market like this, where there is a lot of inventory, that can actually be a bad thing. Because we already have high inventory and a lot of people are going to be listing in the springtime, you're taking what is already a problem if you're trying to sell your home and you're waiting until it's worse. Lots of inventory is bad for you when you are a seller because that means that there's a lot of competition. It's a great thing for a home buyer though. So while every situation is different, if you are thinking about selling your home, you might actually want to not listen to the uncle or friend or whoever in your life that hasn't bought or sold a home in 15 years. And you might want to actually listen to a professional and have a discussion about what actually makes sense for you and your plans. If you want to do that, there is a link in the description below. You can book a time to chat with us. No pressure, no sales, no nothing. We're just here to give you good advice. Anyway, enough of that, back to the stats. Let's jump into townhomes in Burnaby. You are down 2.9% from last month and down 3.8% from this time last year. New West, you are down 0.7% from last month and down 6.8% from last year. Coquitlam, you are down 1.2% from last month and down 7.2% from last year. Port Moody, you are up 0.1% from last month and down 1.1% from last year. Port Coquitlam, you are down 1.4% from last month and down 5.5% from last year. Maple Ridge, you are down 2.5% from last month and down 8.4% from this time last year. Pitt Meadows, you are up 1% from last month, but still down 3.8% from last year. All right, now on to condos. Condos in Burnaby, you are net equal with last month. No gain, no loss, but you are down 5.8% from last year. New West, you are down 3.6% from last month and down 8.9% from last year. Coquitlam, you are down 1.8% from last month and down 8% from last year. Port Moody, you are down 2.1% from last month and down 5.3% from last year. Port Coquitlam, you are up 0.4% from last month and down 6.9% from last year. Maple Ridge, you are down 1.7% from last month and down 9.3% from last year. And Pitt Meadows, you are down 1.3% from last month, and you are our biggest loser, unfortunately. You are down 9.5% from last year. If you find videos like this useful, make sure you hit all those buttons down there that YouTube wants you to hit. And better yet, consider sharing this video with someone who might also find it helpful. All right, last but not least, let's jump into days on market, or how long homes are taking to sell. Burnaby, you're up a little bit from last month. You're at 41 days. New West, you're down from last month. You are at 34 days. Coquitlam, you are up 50%, up to 42 days. Port Moody, you're also up 50%, up to 48 days. Port Coquitlam, down a whole bunch, down to 20 days. Maple Ridge, sitting at 37 days. And Pitt Meadows, you're sitting at 6 days. I don't know what's going on in Pitt Meadows, but apparently things are selling very quickly. Anyway, I'm Angelo with the Atlas Group. That's enough depressing real estate news for the day. I'll see you in the next one.